Hey everybody, it's Romania Black, and we're on episode 2 of Death Note, and oh my god, the last episode, the very first pilot, mwah, like what a great first episode. I absolutely loved it. I was like, oh my god, this is how we're starting the show? Okay. So, I did have some notes. Episode 1 aired on Patreon today, and so I do have some notes. A lot of them are the same note. Speaking of which, so I do want to address those before we start and talk a little bit about the English dub because I'm really excited about it. I did watch the English dub right before coming to this, so. But I do want to note that Maya B, some dude, Space Monkey, everybody on Patreon were like, I think you got a few things confused. And I was like, I'm glad that this was cleared up. And I'm sure people in the YouTube comments will give the exact same comment, but I want to go ahead and address it. That I am glad that y'all pointed out the report writing thing, because that was bothering me a little bit. I thought it was going to be like that when Light wrote in the book that he had 6 minutes to write like a mini report about it. No, the 6 minutes is if you just write the name and wait 40 seconds, then they die of a heart attack. But if you write the name and you start to write a reason for them dying, you have 6 minutes and 40 seconds until they die to write down the cause of death. And I was like, oh, okay, so you get some extended time to start writing out that death. That's a long time, 6 minutes. You can write quite a bit in 6 minutes, and that's kind of creepy because you can get really creative and disturbing with that. So, I don't know how to feel about that, but I am glad you all corrected me on that. That makes much more sense. That solves that whole thing. There's not going to be some secret police come to get Light about missing and not writing in the notebook. Good. Glad to hear it. So that was great too. The other thing is, this part I am a little bit sad about is that, yeah, there are 2 death notes. Ryuk has one and Light has the other. I thought that there was like 3 and Ryuk had his own and then the 2 he had somehow borrowed were lost in the real world. So I am a little bit disappointed that there's not a second death note roaming around, but in hindsight, that's probably a good thing. Considering how much Light has used it so far in the span of 5 days, it's probably good that there's only 1 death note in this world and not 2. It's probably a good thing. So I am glad that y'all cleared that up, especially going into episode 2. That makes a lot more sense. Little sad about it, but that's okay. It's fine. We have enough problems to worry about with Light alone. So Vadna talked about the biker's name. And I noticed in the reaction that he wrote the biker's name several times, and I was like, why did he write it more than once? But Vadna pointed out that he wrote the name multiple times because he didn't know. He only heard the name. He wasn't sure exactly how it was spelled, so he made sure to write it out in every possible way, shape, and form it could be spelled to make sure that it killed him. And I was like, oh, that's crazy, right? Crazy talk. And so he had 6 minutes to do that. Oh, so on the one hand, I'm kind of like, okay, Light, you were dead set on that guy had to pay for what he did to that woman. Okay. But that's also kind of crazy. I hadn't even thought about that if you don't know how to spell their name, you're just guessing until you get it right and hope that you got it right. Oh, that's crazy. I hadn't thought about that. So Vadna, thank you for pointing that out. Pow, you told me to look at 15 minutes, something with Ryuk. It was the point about him talking about like the one thing that the price you pay is the fear and pain that you'll feel experiencing the effects of the death note. I'm not sure if that was what you were talking about, but I don't want to be spoiled. So just if it went over my head, just let me be, and I'm sure it'll come back and I'll be like, oh, and I'll probably reference you again there. So there's that. But no spoilers, y'all. I'm trying to be as spoiler free as I can. The truck. I really like that the truck pointed out this idea that Light, because in the last episode I was like, okay, does Light want the world to know that he exists and that he is the god? Because, that would make him a very easy target. But no, I like that the truck pointed out that it's that Light wants the world to know that there is a god passing judgment upon them and that he is passing judgment, and to know that Light exists, but not necessarily that it is Light passing judgment. That he wants to be this godlike presence in the world that is passing divine judgment, but doesn't necessarily want the people to know that it is him specifically. So that's good to know. The truck also pointed out that the director of this series also directed Attack on Titan seasons 1 through 3. And I was like, okay, that has me excited because I love seasons 1 through 3 of Attack on Titan. So that has me very, very hyped. So really happy with that. So those are the main comments. I did go and watch the dub. It's really good. The first episode was great. Brad, his last name starts with an S. Brad, he plays Light. Really love his voice acting as Light. I wasn't sure. I had in my mind, when I think of like English voice actors playing the protagonist, I have a voice in mind, and his was not what I imagined, but it is very similar to Miyano Mamoru's. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. So I really liked Brad's voice as Light. I really like Ryuk's voice actor in the English dub. It's really good. And so far, like, the voice dubbing, it was crisp, it was clean, nothing sounded awkward, and it made a little bit more sense, like, watching it afterwards, because there was a note when Lights wrote, I was debating in the last episode, Light writing all the names if they were just random, like all those names over 5 days, and the English dub says that Light wrote all these names to rid the world of the most notable criminals. I was like, oh, okay, he researched the most well-known criminals, and those are the ones he wrote the first 5 days. It wasn't just at random. Okay, that helped explain a little bit. So yeah, Space Monkey asked if I would have any like clips and scenes from the dub. I don't want to record a full reaction of the dub because that would be recording 2 full reactions, the sub and the dub, and that's kind of why I chose the sub over the dub, picking one or the other. But if there are moments in the sub that I watch that I'm like, oh, I want to hear that in the dub and what it sounds like, then I may record it and just kind of give you guys like a little edit at some point. My thing is with copyright, I don't want to have 2 streamable links and do 2 different things. So I may just put my headphones on and listen to it and just show you my reaction to the dub if I listen to those moments. And then you all can just see it before the episode starts, before the discussion starts. I don't know how that'll work. I'll have to think about that. But I am going to watch the dub in between each episode and at least report back to you all on about it. So, but yeah, episode 1 of the dub and the sub, both great. I'm in love with this pilot, so I'm really excited to see where we go from here, because we touched base on a lot of things in episode 1. We covered a lot of ground, so I'm curious to know what all we're gonna do in episode 2. And I guess we'll find out. So we're gonna start episode 2 of Death Note, and we're gonna start that here in 3, 2, 1, and let's go. Oh my god. That last 5 minutes of L, like, just I know a lot of you in the comments were saying that Light was like your first anime crush. I don't know about crushes, but Elle's character is so intriguing. This is getting so good. I feel like Ryuk is the audience surrogate. Ryuk is just like, I'm just here to see what happens. And I kind of love that about his character so far. I love that Ryuk is just like, not a cinnamon bun. He's not a cinnamon roll character, but he's just like almost precious. I'm just like, I want to gently hold Ryuk. He's just like, I'm just here. Just seeing what's going on. Just watching you arrogant humans kill one another. It's fine. I'm just playing. I was bored, so it's just my entertainment, right? Because, yeah, what does Ryuk have to lose? No one else can see him but Light. No one can kill him. He's just this omnipotent being that's just like, I'm just here to see what's going on. Like, I'm assuming unless the old man gets frustrated with him, I'm like, okay, but so we got like a Sherlock up in this. I see Sherlock. I love Sherlock stories, like mystery stories with like Sherlock characters. And Elle strikes me as that. So I'm like, okay, I'm really intrigued now. But man, okay. So this confrontation, God, and just there's a lot of the concept of good and evil in this series. And things getting so complicated, like right off the bat, which granted, we've only got 35 more episodes to go, which sounds like a lot, but I feel like it's going to go by fast. Okay, going through this opening, yeah, this guy with the blue hair, as soon as they said we're going to bring in L, I was like, well, maybe that's him, because he seems like the rival of Light in the opening, so I'm like, maybe that'll be him in this. And then when we saw the one guy, I was like, oh, he doesn't look totally like L, okay. But they just found a random criminal that they found and was just like, you're going to impersonate me and here's how it's going to work. And the strategy of this is so freaking good. Okay, and there's the guy in the opening. We'll get his name. But he I thought he was Light at first, but he's not. He's just another Japanese guy that works for Interpol. And then we have, I'm wondering if Light is the guy in the jacket that's Watari, but I don't think so. Watari, I'm so curious. Huh. I don't know. I'm fascinated. I have theories, which we'll get to, but seeing L, interesting. I wonder if L has his own Shinigami that's helping him out. If Watari is a Shinigami. I don't know, right? I don't know. There's a part of me that's like, they said Watari, they don't know us, but Watari cannot be Shinigami because then nobody would be able to see him except for L. I don't know. Unless L is a Shinigami, but no, he looks human in the OP. I have so many theories. I don't want spoilers, but I'm just thinking, I'm like, man, or he's just like a really smart guy like Light. He's like, I'm just a really smart guy too. You're not the only one, you know? There's other smart people in this world, but he seems older. If he's been working for Interpol for a while, he seems older, like he's probably in his 20s. So he's like, yeah, I'm not a high school student anymore, so... But he seems smart just like Light. Oh, this is just... this is getting so good. So good. But yeah, we do the whole recap with Ryuk and everything. Just going through the motions. The Death Note's real. All that jazz. Again, I thought there was so much that happens in these... There's so much that happens in these episodes that around the 12-minute mark, I looked down being like, are we almost done? And we're just at 12 minutes. Like, so much happens in this that I'm like, man... they cover a lot of ground in an episode where a lot of anime would be like, oh, we're just going to take our time. No, Death Note did not come to play. They're like, we are here and we are ready. So Confrontation. There's a lot of really cool imagery in this episode. That's some really neat symbolism. Like in the classroom, for example, when we cut back to the classroom at the start of this, the most of the classroom is in darkness. It's in darkness. And then as we pan over to where Light is, the light filters in the classroom by the window. So it's funny that like the lighting in this room, which I think that's all stylistic because I do think that the classroom is actually lit up properly, I guess. But it's just that Light is the representation of him doing the good deed and writing in the notebook. And so some of this conversation too kind of overlaps where the girl's telling the guy, I have no idea what he was thinking, but I'm so done with him. Really, then how was it with the older guy? All right. And so then you see he has the book. He has like the English book. He has another book. And then he has the Death Note. Like, dude, carrying around, I don't know. Maybe it's not the Death Note. Maybe he is actually carrying around. I guess no, it's not the Death Note he's carrying around. It is actually the, it's like he's doing like a math equation on there. So he's trying to figure out the physics, I guess he's trying to figure out how to rig the drawer where it'll light on fire. And he's doing that while doing the English homework. Okay, because I was like, that seems really risky to bring the Death Note out in public like that. So in the reaction, I thought he was writing in the Death Note. But no, he's trying to figure out how to rig the drawer during English class. And then he gets called out. But because Light is one of the top in the country, one of the smartest, he's instantly able to translate the sentence without problem. Like he just goes back to where he's supposed to be, says what he needs to say, and then gets back to work. And the teacher's like, wow, that was great. So I want to go back to what it seems like whatever they're translating in this book. He says, when he fully succeeded in making his dream a reality, he was immersed in beatitude. Okay. And the guy's like, very good. So I like that the perfect answer. I like that whatever he's reading out of this English book is like tied directly to his own views of what he's doing. That he's succeeding in his dream, so everything's great. I like that. And everybody kind of looks back at him like, huh. And he's like, a perfect answer. Our boy Light, huh? Uh-huh. And I love that Ryuk has been there the whole time. I like that Ryuk's just like, hey friend. Hey, we're gonna go do something. This is boring. I like that poor Ryuk has to suffer through high school. Amazing. I don't know. Some people in the comments were saying that Ryuk does not look human. There's just something about his ears, his hairline. He looks like he was once human. I don't know. I don't want my theories proven or disproven at this point. But he's like, it's finally over. Where do you want to go now? School sure is boring. And I do like that Light is intelligent, right? So Light knows not to make the mistake because Ryuk's like, hey, are you listening to me? And Light's like, I can't talk to you because if I talk to you, they're going to hear me even though they can't see you. So stop it. Like, he's like, I'm trying to keep myself covered. And Ryuk's like, well, you're just so boring. I love it. It's great. It's wonderful. And so then, yeah, his friends or these guys that he knows, like, they try to get him to go with them, and then Light's like, nah, I got stuff to do. And Ryuk's like, you don't have anything to do. Why don't you go hang out with them? Aren't you just going home like you usually do? And he's like, I have something to do. What are you talking about? And then something very important. And I like that we have the cut to the flowers. They don't look exactly like roses. There were roses in the OP. But I like that we cut to the flowers. Something very important. And he's writing in the notebook. And I like that throughout most of this episode, Light has like the creepiest expressions. Like, his eyes are blocked by the light from the TV screens. And it's like making his eyes almost look like they're like, it didn't happen in the last episode, but in this one it makes it look almost like it's not, it looks like they're dead. Is the best way I can say it. It looks like they're blurry, right? That they're not clear. Like the soul, like the light in his eyes has gone out, right? Which is interesting. But yeah, he's writing in the notebook. And I like that as he's writing in the notebook, Ryuk's just like camped out like, hey, what's going on? Just sitting there eating my apples. Munching on my popcorn, watching y'all. He's like, huh? He's like, hey, Light. Hey, Light. Let me talk to you. And I like that they talk about this man. So this man that committed the crime, right? That he is suspected of stabbing a fellow employee in the abdomen at a restaurant in Shinjuku. The knife was from the restaurant and was 12 inches long. So yeah, some guy that stabbed another man in the stomach. And they say the suspect said he was being rude, so I just lost it. And that's the thing too, right? That's kind of tying back to this whole idea that as Light is writing his name in the notebook and sentencing him to death, the guy was like, he was being rude and I just lost it. Like, it wasn't premeditated. It wasn't that, which is still bad. Like, he grabbed a kitchen knife and stabbed someone. Still bad. Still murder. But again, tying back to the last episode, the idea of the purging the evil of the world, this guy's like, he was being rude and I just snapped. And we've talked about this in other series, but the idea that humans in general all had the capability inside of them to do violent, awful acts. It's just, do you keep yourself in control? And this phrase that he's going to say, the reason I bring it up is he says, I just lost it. The phrase he says here, I'm going to bring it up when we talk about Kira and the whole website thing, because there's a little bit of like a hypocrisy with it that's interesting. That's very interesting, and I want to bring it up. But yes, this guy basically is like, I just snapped, and I stabbed him, and Light has killed him. And then, of course, he's like, what is it? He's like, you're working very hard. And Light's like, I can't waste any time. I only have a limited amount of time to write names in the notebook. The only time I have is when I get home from school until I go to bed. I need to maintain my grades. So Light is trying, this is just like a side hobby for him. You know, this whole being a god is like a side job. He's like, I'm still a student. I have to maintain my grades. And I'm like, why? Like, if this is going to be your life, what are you doing? Are you thinking that this is going to pass, I guess? Because like, I need to maintain my grades. And I can't sleep during class. And Ryuk, I love that Ryuk, because his eyes are so unblinking and unmoving, he's just like, what? Like, that's his expression the whole time. I love when they cut to him. It's great. He's like, I need to do all of my homework for school and my prep classes. And then Ryuk's like, uh-huh. He's like, lack of sleep is dangerous. It will affect my health and concentration. After all, I'm trying to change the world into a utopia without evil. There's never enough time. Which is so true. There is never enough time. But I find it fascinating that he's just trying to balance life as a student. School life, just trying to balance everything with being this demigod that's killing everybody and purging the world of evil. It's just like, some people work at a restaurant. Some people work at a gas station. Some people write in an omnipotent notebook. You know, what do you do in your spare time? Right? What's your job? What's your after school job? And so then we establish that he has a little sister. This is not going to end well. No, say you. No, anytime little siblings are brought up in a story like this, I'm like, red flag, get that girl out of here, send her to her grandparents out in the country, get her as far away from here as possible, because that is leverage. That is, not getting good vibes from old Seiyu. Seiyu needs to sayonara herself out of here before something happens. Because, yeah, the little sister, she's like, it's quadratic equations. And he just looks at her. He looks very much like a sibling would, like, fine, I'll help you. And she's like, I'm sorry if you were studying. And I like that she's like, but it doesn't make any sense. Please help me. And he's like, fine. And so, yeah, she's like, you're up here all the time studying. Like, why? You know, she seems like a preteen, like maybe she's 12 or 13 is what she comes across as. And I like that suddenly we get Ryuk saying, Light, be careful. Like, if any human who touches the notebook in your drawer will be able to see me. And I like that stops Light. He's like, you waits to tell me that crucial detail now, damn Shinigami? Yeah, so I think it was the truck. I think it was you in the comments were saying that there's a lot of rules. I'm like, okay, so there's more than just 3. I don't want to be spoiled by what they are. I don't want any hints. We're going to figure them out as we go, I'm sure, in these 37 episodes. But I love that Ryuk was very cryptic in the last episode. And I was like, you're not saying everything. You're just doing the bare bones, right? Yes. Because, yeah, this is just one rule. He's like, oh, yeah, if they touch the notebook, they can see me. So, yeah. That's a pretty crucial detail. I like that Light's like, So I'm assuming that, yeah, there's a lot of these rules that Ryuk has just casually not mentioned. He's just like, we'll figure it out as we go. I love it. I absolutely love it. And she's like, what's wrong? And that's when he's like, oh, it's nothing. Sorry. He's like, what don't you get? And I love that Ryuk's just sitting there like, I freaking love Ryuk. I love his role in this story. It's so crazy because easily you could have a character that kind of has this omnipotent power like Ryuk. He could easily be like helping Light, hindering Light, but he is the most passive aggressive, just like non-reactor. He's like, I'm just here watching. He's like, I'm just here for entertainment. That's literally why I'm here. I love it. I love the role he has in this story so far. Now that we've introduced L, I am curious if that's going to change or if Light is going to try to use Ryuk more. I don't know. I wonder if he'll try. I wonder if he will try to have Ryuk go out and try to find L since he's a Shinigami. Be like, can you go find this guy and figure out who he is? Since Light has no leads, I'm wondering if that's the case, but we don't even know if L's even in Japan. Like they said they're setting up a headquarters, so I want to get to that part and double check it, but we don't know where in Japan L is. He's just narrowed down the Kanto region based on his deduction skills. But yeah, I'm curious if Light will try to get Ryuk to have more of like a hands-on approach trying to figure out who L is, and if Ryuk's gonna be like, no. I could see Light being like, oh, go find L, and Ryuk being like, I don't want to, and you can't make me. So I'm curious to see what's gonna come of that. But yeah, him just watching Light with the sister. Oh my God. Like, I just don't get good vibes from the sister. You have Light who has this notebook that if she touches it, she can see Ryuk. The way that he's got like the drawer rigged, like she could light herself on fire and injure herself. He could take the notebook out and she could stumble upon it. She could fall into it. There's so many factors that I'm like, oh, Light, honey. And Light thinks he's so smart. But as Elle showed him, he's like, you're smart, but you're not as smart as you think, or you need to be more cautious. He's like, you're being arrogant. I think that if Light knew everything that Elle could do early on, I think he would have made measures to avoid being detected so easily. But he underestimates Elle, and God, we'll get to that. That was just a mind trip. So yeah, we go to Interpol. We go here talking about 52 deaths within the last 2 weeks. They're criminals who are wanted or being held in prison. This is all fascinating. It's such an interesting commentary because you have all these guys from the different countries, like all communicating with one another in the darkness. I like that they're in the darkness with just the screen illuminating them. I'm like, was there a light bulb shortage in 2009 that I didn't know about? It's like, I was around in 2009. Was there a light bulb shortage and I just wasn't paying attention? Was the ambiance was the like white, iridescent light that much of a staple? Because they don't have the lighting in this series. It's kind of funny how minimal it is. Like, there's no lights on in this room. It's just all darkness except for the screen. I'm like, okay. It's a stylistic choice. It's just funny in the moment. Like, if this were real, they'd have like all the lights turned on, you know. But so this one guy says the death toll could easily be over 100, and we have all these people from different countries like mumbling to each other. So okay, and this guy coming in, he's like, I had a call from headquarters. So this guy was in the OP, and I thought it was Light. I thought like Light was going to get involved in like some kind of organization somehow. But no, this guy is different. His eyes and face kind of look similar to Light's. He just has a different hairstyle. But him and this chief, the police chief there, all right. And they're like, they were all criminals who probably would have been executed. So why should we concern ourselves? And this other guy's like, no, are you dumb? This is murder. And it's a serial murder. And the guy's like, we weren't even sure that they were murdered. The autopsy said it was a heart attack. And the guy's like, well, then how did 100 people die at the same time? And I love this conversation. They're like, it has to be murder. And they're just going through all the different, all the different scenarios with it. And I love that they're like, we believe a large organization carefully orchestrated these killings. Like, starting to blame other people. I'm like, Light, your actions could cause a war if the wrong people end up getting the blame for this. That's kind of the deal with the trajectory of all of this, right? That Light was just like, oh, I have this means to do good in the world. I'll just start writing names of criminals down and there'll be no repercussions. People will just be like, oh my God, thank you, Light, for saving us. But no, humankind is much more complex and messy than we should be. And so these guys, the idea that they're thinking it was a large organization that orchestrated the killings, I'm like, this could lead to like a battle or a war or people being wrongfully accused by what Light is doing, right? And they say, if you say a large organization is involved, I can't help but think the FBI or CIA is involved. So then it's just going right back to the CIA and FBI. Like, it's just, oh my God. I dare you to say it again. And then one guy's like, let's stop joking around. We have to clarify if these are murders or strange coincidences. And they say all the autopsy reports say that they were just inexplicable heart attacks. And so I don't see what else can be learned from just the way that they died. Interesting. And it would be worth looking into if they were stabbed with knives. I'm like, now they're going to go find the bodies and be like, was there other stuff happening to them too? And then we'll just have Elle solve this. And I like that the room goes silent. Like, the one guy's like Elle coming up is like, that stops the whole Interpol. Like, everybody just silences themselves like Elle. It's like Q. It's like James Bond-esque, right? They're like, what do you think? And they're like, yeah, bring him in. And then this guy clearly is new. They're like, what is Elle? And the chief says, this is your first time at this conference, isn't it? So this guy's new. He says, no one knows Elle's name, location, or what he looks like. Again, I think that he knows. I'm just taking a stab at this. I think that Elle knows about the Death Note. I think Elle knows. Or, okay, here's the thing. Either Elle knows about the Death Note, or he has been, well, if Elle was in possession of the Death Note at some time and then lost it and he lost his memories of it, then I have two thoughts. It could either be that Elle has had the Death Note before and it had some kind of effect on him, whether he forgot about the Death Note, he forgot about it, but had this urge to keep his name, location, and what he looks like a secret. Because that's what you need to kill somebody in the Death Note. You need to know their name. You need to know what they look like. I mean, the location's important, but you need to mainly just know the name and what they look like. So that's why Light can't kill Elle right now, because he doesn't have a mental image of what his face is or his full name. So, So that's interesting. So a part of me thinks that maybe he used to have the Death Note, and maybe this is just like the residual memory he has to like an instinct to know not to let that information out. But I'm kind of leaning more towards the latter idea, that maybe L knows someone that maybe had the Death Note and died from it. And that's why he keeps the name, location, where he looks like a secret, because he knows that that Death Note is out there and that people can use it, and he doesn't want it used on him. I feel like, because at the end he says that he's justice. And so, interesting. I don't know. I don't know a lot about L yet, but I have all these theories like bouncing around in my head about him. And it's going to be interesting to learn more about him as we go, right? But I like that he's managed to solve every case he's taken on, no matter how difficult. He's cracked many of the world's unsolved cases. He is our trump card, our last weapon, our last hope. Something like that. I like the ads. Something like that. He's like our last hope. Something like that. But nobody knows what he looks like. But isn't L so arrogant that he's only taking on cases that interest him? He sounds a lot like Poe, like Ron Poe from Bungo Stray Dogs. He sounds like Ron Poe from Bungo Stray Dogs is what L sounds like. I'm like, okay, he's kind of arrogant, which, what a match for L. Two characters that are kind of arrogant and think highly of themselves. Interesting. We can't even contact him. And they're like, L is already involved. And that's when this guy, Watari, shows up. Okay. Like showing up this big giant guy in the briefcase with oh my God, with everything. Saying L is already investigating this case. I love this. And like Watari. The only man who can contact L. Watari's identity is also unknown. Oh my God, I love it. I'm just like, L will now speak. I wonder if the guy Watari is L and this was all like a pre-recording. Maybe if that guy is L and that this is all just like a pre-recorded thing. I don't know. I love the font too, like the elegant royal font of the L there. Like, come on. Members of the ICPO. I am L. I love it. What are we doing singing? Okay, so they go to this desolate place. Yeah, so while they're having this conversation, he's like, people touch the Death Note can see you, can't they? I can't walk around with something so dangerous. And so he's doing this experiment with the book and everything. I guess he's making the explosive that will ignite if the false drawer is activated without the proper technique. He says, up until now, I thought that if my family saw the notebook, I could pass it off as a record of cases, which I'm using to study to become a detective. Yeah, I guess you could do that. But I'm walking a fine line right now. If I'm not careful, I might end up killing my own family. Yeah, seems like foreshadowing. Just a wee bit. And there's the pan. So he was doing the experiments on the drawer. Okay. So yeah, I'm glad that Light is self-aware enough to know that what he's doing may have some very dire consequences and that his family is in jeopardy. I'm glad he's realized that and he vocalizes it. That's good to know. That was one thing I was worried about, but no, I'm glad he understands that. And so they're like, this case is unprecedented in scope and difficulty. It involves more people. What do they say there? He says it involves more people than any other case preceding it. It is also an unforgivable case of serial murder. So this is our guy saying that it is morally wrong to kill people. Oh, okay. So we're going to have the two shades of morality, right? Next side by side with each other. Okay. All right. I like it. I like it a lot. And so saying that in order to solve this case, I need the ICPO's cooperation. No, various worldwide organizations to cooperate fully. I want you to decide whether you'll support me at this conference. Okay. All right. Also, I strongly desire to work with the Japanese police. And they're like, what? So, okay, we got names. We got Toda Matsuda, and Soichiro Yagami, right? Soichiro Yagami? Wait, what? Is he Light's dad? Is he? Oh, or is he related to Light? Oh, ooh, okay. Oh, shit. I just saw that name on there. Okay, so if because we've not seen the dad yet. And he talked about becoming a detective with the book of cases. And I was like, why would your family be like, okay, you're going to become a detective, Light? Sure. But if his dad already works for the police. Oh, okay. Okay. Oh, okay. All right. Maybe I'm wrong. But it says Yagami. It says Soichiro Yagami. And it says Tota Matsuda. Okay, so Matsuda. All right. He's our new guy. Oh, why Japan? Regardless of how many suspects there are, there's a strong possibility that they are Japanese. And yeah, oh my god, he could be Light's dad. Oh my god. Oh, even if they aren't hiding in Japan, even if they aren't Japanese, they are hiding in Japan. Shit. Oh my god, if his dad's like the police guy that's working with L. Oh my god. Okay. Interesting. What are your grounds you have for your claims? Why Japan? I think I can show you very soon by directly confronting the perpetrator. Oh my god, and if his dad knows, and if Light's the perpetrator, oh shit. This is gonna get more complicated. This is gonna get more complicated. A direct confrontation. Oh my god. I would like to set headquarters Japan. Because yeah, if L has been on to the fact, that the killer started out with the murders that were in this region of Japan and moved out broader from that, then that may have been the basis. They were like, okay, let's start from Japan and work our way out because that's where the murders started. So that all makes sense. I'm also thinking like the L here, we established that Light's alias is Kira, which is for killer, so death. And is L like representation of life? So we have life and death. We have preserving life and we have killing the evil. I love it so much. Yeah, oh my god. And then, of course, he would be concerned if the killer in all this is in Japan because that's where his family is. Meanwhile, again, Light looks a lot like his mom, so that guy could totally be his dad. Okay. That was pretty easy to make. He's like, does that mean you're able to hide the notebook? He's like, yeah, in this drawer. And I love this, like, just charm and innocence on Light's face. He just has this, like, innocent charm where he's like, no, I just made this drawer. I just put, like, an explosive in it. It's no big deal. And Ryuk's like, does that count as a hiding place? He's like, you left the key in the lock. And he's like, oh, no, that's fine. I intentionally left the key in a noticeable place, right? So it doesn't look suspicious. And then you open it up and there's the diary. People will be satisfied with the secrets of this drawer after reading this diary. Okay. But the real key is this. And there's nothing suspicious about having this on my desk, having the pen. I mean, Light's a genius. Like, this is great. This is fascinating that he uses the pen ink and everything as the key to go under the drawer to push it up and to get the notebook out. So yeah, you put it in the hole, you lift it up, and it's a false bottom. Okay. But he's like, you also have a fake diary, so I doubt anybody will find it. And he says that's not all. Even if they discover it has a false bottom, there's no way they could take the notebook. So it's like, okay, if the ink cartridge is an insulator, so it doesn't channel electricity. Okay, right. When the bottom of the drawer is closed, the rubber stops the flow of electricity too. Okay. If someone were to force open the bottom, it would take it off, and that would create the tension that would ignite and blow up the notebook. I was waiting for Ryuk to say that the notebook is not flammable. I was waiting for Ryuk to be like, oh, the notebook can't burn. It's otherworldly. It's fireproof. I'm waiting for him to say that, but right now he's just like, I'll let you have your fun. I'll let you go about your business with this whole burning the notebook and destroying the evidence. I can just say the reason I didn't want anybody to realize. That is the one thing that I'm like, wait a minute. I'm sorry, but if I rigged my desk drawer with an explosive and it went off in my family's house and caught it on fire, and my parents were like, what did you do this for? And my answer was, I didn't want anybody to see my real diary. My parents would have a field day. I wouldn't see the light of day for like a year. I know. I'm like, your parents are surprisingly lenient. It's a believable excuse. I'm like, no, if I lit my family's house on fire and I was like, I just didn't want people to read my diary, I would not get off as scot-free as Light seems to believe he will in this case. I just love Ryuk's expression. He can't help it because his eyes are like, he just looks at Light like, I love it. I've heard when a human gets a death note, the biggest problem they have is finding a good place to hide it. I wonder if, I'm glad none of you, I don't want you to confirm or disconfirm the theories, but I wonder if like Ryuk's saying that he's heard that this happens with humans or like memories he once had if he turned from a human into a Shinigami. I don't know. It's just interesting. And so, but Light, you're probably the first to go this far. And I'm like, just stroke that ego. Just keep it going. Because Light he's like so pleased. He's like, It's like, go ahead, praise me more. But he says this setup is really dangerous. Yes, if you make the slightest mistake, you could be badly burned. And he's like, dangerous? Well, you're talking nonsense against Ryuk. I love that he just talks down this death god like, you're talking nonsense again, Ryuk. And Ryuk's like, am I? Okay. I love Ryuk takes it all in stride. Light gives him some grief sometimes, and Ryuk just takes it in stride. He says, I've been putting myself in danger from the very beginning. Which is true ever since I first got hold of the Death Note. Which is true. Compared to that, this is hardly dangerous. In fact, it's quite the opposite. It protects me. He's like, which is better? A small fire in the house or being executed? That seems like a question, right? A small fire in the house or being executed, which is worse? But that small fire in the house, you don't know the results of it, so it's interesting. Yeah, and so then we get to the whole thing. So yeah, so this thing with Kira. So we start out the second half of this episode, if you can believe it's only the second half. We're talking about the Tokyo West Penitentiary, where Naoki Kurotsukayama, age 32, was being detained for armed robbery. Is reported to have died from a heart attack. Okay. In response to the endless bizarre deaths of prisoners. And they're like, that's amazing. The bad guys keep dying. It's a little scary, but it does feel great. But we can't do anything bad now. So we get all these reactions. People are like, oh, this is great. The bad people are dying. And they're like, it's kind of scary. And then this one guy's like, we can't do anything bad. Like, we gotta be careful. And they're like, I wonder if the police are behind it. And they're like, the police don't have that kind of power. And we cut to like people in the streets to like this guy that looks homeless in the alleyway. Right? And like, don't you know about him? And these people making out in the hallway, in the alleyway too. And like, about who? It's Kira. And everybody is texting and emailing Kira. I wonder who's going to be killed next. And the way that the animation is, it's jerky and it's kind of creepy. But this text that this girl sends says, Kira, kill everyone. That's disturbing. That's where it gets creepy. Because right now, Light is just viewing it as, I'm just doing good. And look at all these people. Look at all those people like backing me up. Being like, just keep up the good work. But there's like a sinister quality to it, right? Because it's like you've opened Pandora's box. And now like this girl who seems innocent is like, kill everyone. And it's like just to suggest that, like to not put any thought into it. Like we talked in the last episode, we spent like 40 minutes talking about it, but no thought, just instant, like, just do it, right? It's a mob mentality. It really is. It's a mob mentality. And we kind of saw that break out in the Interpol scene, but it's this too, right? God, kill everyone. Oh. And he says, name Rococo. Kira, kill everyone. Name Misery. And he's like, Ryuk, take a look at this. And he's like, And he's like, someone already created a website. So Light didn't even create the website. It was someone else. Like someone else creating, again, tying kind of to religion, the idea of people like building the church. Like God himself didn't build the church. Someone built it in his name. And that's kind of like how this website's been built in Light's name as Kira. Ooh. And his eyes have like that just dead quality. His eyes like have the light shining on him. Oh, he says someone already created a website. And it has like the heart with the wings coming off it. The Legend of Kira the Savior. Man, this 2009 computer, let me tell you, it's pretty cool. And then he's like, this is about you? And he's like, yeah, it seems Kira comes from the English word killer. Oof. He's like, I don't like, and he almost looks very sincere there. He's like, I don't like it too much, but I've become Kira to the world. Just searching the word Kira and countless sites like this one appear. And it's like all of these things. Television and newspapers have only publicized the successive mysterious deaths of vicious criminals. But the people of the world can already feel it. And I like that he's smiling as he says this. He is smiling as he says this, and he's looking at the screen. The existence of someone passing judgment. Oh my God, it's the creepiest thing. Like seeing how he just pleased his punch. And Ryuk's like, oh, really? Huh. He's like, Ryuk, humans are like that. He's like, For example, there's no way that anyone would bring up the topic of killing bad people in homeroom at school. So this is an interesting conversation. This is an interesting conversation of the what gets said behind closed doors sort of thing, where he's like, well, in school, you wouldn't bring up the topic of killing bad people because the answer would be the same. He's like, if someone were to bring it up, everyone would act pious and say that's wrong. That's what they're bound to say. And of course, here's the thing. Of course, it's the right thing to say. But humans must put up a front like that in public. So it's the idea that humans, we're really these savage creatures that have these base desires. But the concept of civilization and society, like we've seen in other shows, is we have to maintain order and a front. And he says they have to put up a front in public and hide what they're really thinking in order to conform with society and go with the flow, right? That's what he's suggesting. But their true feelings are here. They may be afraid or won't acknowledge my existence on the surface, but everyone on the internet where everyone can be anonymous. Man, this is like a commentary on social media before social media was even a thing. But here's the problem, and it's so true of our own society, that yeah, it's, how do I word this? With social media, there is an anonymity to it. And the problem with that anonymity is a lot of times there is no consequence. There's no social consequence to, like, when people troll on the internet, when they go and say horrible things to people, give people death threats, do awful things on the internet. When that happens, it's because there's no consequence. Because you're not face to face talking with someone. You're just putting it out there online in this space that's private and it's anonymous. And the way that Light frames it here is that it's in a positive way. He's like, oh, well, in real life, in society, people are bound by these morals. I'm like, yeah, they are. And he's like, in the real world, we're bound by societal norms. And, you can't just say, if you say you're going to kill all the bad people will be like, well, that's wrong. And people are pious. But he's framing the internet and this space of anonymity as a good thing because people can say what they actually think. And that is good. I do like the idea that that there is a space to talk freely about your beliefs. I'm all for that. But a lot of times people can say horrible things, like that girl saying kill everyone, because it's anonymous, because there's no consequence. It's easy and reflexive and instant. And there's no thought to it. You can just do it and not think about it, right? Whereas if you talk face to face with someone in person, you do have to own up to some of that, right? There isn't that anonymity. You do have to kind of own up to your words. So it's crazy, right? That Light frames it as, he says, Kira is thriving. Like killing is thriving in this space because there's no consequence, right? Whew. It's an interesting commentary. And I do admit, I do agree with Light in the fact that, yeah, I do agree with Light that we do have a social construct. There is such a thing as society, and you are expected to uphold certain social conventions when you're in public. I admit that. And I admit that sometimes it's kind of like, really? Do we have to do this? Like, I get what Light's putting down. And there's part of it that I'm like, no, I get it. It can be bullshit sometimes. And you're like, that doesn't make sense. But in the same vein, it's like sometimes some things are there for a reason, so there's not just chaos, right? And so this open space where this kind of mob mentality, it just festers and it just feeds off itself, right? And it becomes something more than it was originally intended to be. Like Light killing these people, it's already having drastic ramifications, like overseas with Interpol, where people are like possibly going to go to war with people over something that's not what it was intended for. So, right? That Kira is thriving. They don't talk about it, but they all understand. Someone is making the bad guys disappear. Those who have a clean conscience are cheering for Kira in their hearts. That is because Light is saying that if you are a good moral person, then you're all for this. Like, kill these guys. It's like, oh, wait a minute. Whoa. And I guess, I'm like, but the hypocrisy of it is that everyone on Earth is capable of becoming the killer, of becoming the bad guy. That kind of ties back to that guy that was caught. They said he's like, that guy was rude to me and I just couldn't take it anymore. It's like the guy didn't probably have any other prior record. He just snapped. And it's bad, and that shouldn't have happened. Should probably go to prison if you killed somebody. But in the same regard, everyone is capable of that, right? Everyone has that possibly inside of them. And these people that are just like texting this website being like, kill everybody. Like, if you're that violent in a random text to a site, who's to say this girl sending the text isn't going to do something crazy? Who's to say? We don't know. So there's a little layer there of, it's a little bit creepy on Light's part where he's like, oh yeah, if you have a clean conscience, you can cheer for me in your hearts. It's like, interesting. It's an interesting viewpoint. And those who have done wrong fear that heaven's judgment will strike down upon them. So yeah, they cut from the happy girl. It's like, kill everyone, Kira, because she's done nothing wrong. She with a clear conscience can root Kira on. But then this guy that's in the alleyway, those that fear judgment, what did he say? What did he say exactly there? He said, after those have a clear conscience, those who have done wrong fear that heaven's judgment will strike down upon them. But here's the thing, like that guy in the corner in the alleyway, like, again, everybody's capable of doing something wrong and making a mistake. So now, once you make a mistake, like, if that girl makes a mistake, is she suddenly going to be thrown into, like, a stress ball chaos of fear, thinking that she might be struck down? Like, that could incite chaos if people think that the one wrong slip-up will kill them. Ooh, it's setting up some things. Some things are setting up. He says it's perfect. Everything is going exactly as planned. I'm like, oh, Light. Oh my God. Anytime somebody says everything's going as planned, unless you are Aizen Sosuke, you probably should not say that. It's probably a red flag. And then, yeah, as soon as he says that, it's like, boom, interrupted for a special broadcast. We interrupt this program to bring you a special worldwide broadcast from ICPO Interpol. Okay. And then Ryuk's like, what's this? And he's like, Interpol. And it's like, Lind L. Taylor. I am Lind L. Taylor, the only person able to mobilize the entire world's police, also known as L. And I like that he has the blue eyes. Like on the surface, I was like, oh, is this really him? But I was like, he doesn't look like the guy in the OP. And then, yeah, Light's like, wait, who is this? And they're like, it's finally started. He's never shown his face, right? So why now? It means L is serious. All right, but we're doing exactly what you told us. Let's see you prove what you did at the ICPO conference. There's been a string of serial killings targeting criminals, and this is the most atrocious act of murder in history. It will not go unpunished. So the fact of the matter, the fact that they got this guy who is a criminal to stand there and give this speech, this rehearsed speech, is pretty impressive. I'm wondering what L said to him to get him to go along with it. Like if he said, like, if you say this word for word, we'll set you free, or if he was scheduled to be executed that day, maybe he's like, I don't have anything to lose. I don't know. It's interesting that he got this guy to completely go along with it. That's fascinating. I will definitely catch the one behind the murders, commonly known as Kira. And he says, I love that Ryuk looks over and says, he said he'll definitely catch you. Like, did you hear that? This guy's going to try to catch you. And Light just looks just stunned, but then he's like, that fool, there's no way he can catch me. Like, this is the death note. Like, the creepy look on his face where he says, this is the death note. I'm like, oh no. Ah. He's like, if you don't have this, there's no evidence, which is true. And there's no way you can catch me. Oh my God. He's like, I knew the police would start investigating and that someone like him would turn up. So yeah, Light's always like, I'm always a step ahead of everybody, right? Light's like, I got this. I knew they were coming to get me. It was all foreseen, right? And he's like, Kira, I have a pretty good idea behind your motive and why you're doing this. Which is probably, it's all stuff that Elle probably would say to Light, right? But what you're doing is evil. And that's when Light's like, excuse me? I just love it. He's like, wait, what? He's like, what you're doing is evil. He's like, I'm evil? And Ryuk kind of told him this in the last episode. Ryuk's like, yeah, no, you're going to be the last one left. And you're going to be the bad guy. In the English dub, Ryuk's like, no, if you think that you're going to be the last one left and you'll be the bad guy doing that. And Light was like, I don't get it. So yeah, it just, Light's like, I don't know how anybody could think that I would be evil doing this. And then that smile, you're like, And Light's like, no, I am justice. I'm saving the meek. God, I love this. I love that he just declares it. He's like, I am saving the meek who fear evil. I'm the man who will become the god of the ideal new world. And I like how it shakes, like the camera angle shakes. He's like, all those who oppose that god are evil. Oh, Light, honey, you and this god complex. Oh my God. But then here's the thing, right? Because up until this exact moment, Light has been like, I am only killing criminals who have committed crimes like murder, etc. And he's had a nice orderly, like, here's my nice orderly fashion. But he gets so enraged at this moment that this man has done nothing wrong. All this man has done is said that Light's actions are evil. That's it. That's all he's done. He's committed no crimes. None. He just said something that made Light angry. And Light, he said, Elle, you're stupid. This could have been more interesting if you'd been a bit smarter. And just out of rage, he writes the name. He doesn't just write it like nice and neat like all the other ones. No, he takes up the whole damn page. Like, just takes up the whole page. The entire world is watching to see what happens if anyone defies me, Elle. Oh. Oh my God. I love it. And I love it. So we don't get to see what's behind Elle. We just see like the map of the world. Okay, or from the Taylor guy, the criminal that dies. 5 more seconds. And Ryuk's like, okay. And then he dies. Like on screen. And Light, oh my god, his face is like demented. His face he's like, what's wrong? Why don't you say something? Like that's, I'm like, Light, my dude. And that's when the actual L comes on screen. From here on, the episode's brilliant. From here on, it's just genius. I'm like, but Light looking so like his calm, cool demeanor like just snaps like that, and it's just that arrogance, God, that ego. But no, then the screen changes. He's like, this is unbelievable. I had to check to be sure. Who would have thought you could have done this? You can kill people without direct contact. So this was all just a test. There's so much that comes out of this episode, out of this moment. He was like, I wanted to see if you could kill people without touching them. You can. So that it's been established that you don't have to touch them to kill them. Oopsies. I couldn't believe it before seeing it with my own eyes. And he uses a voice changer, so it's even better. Listen to me, Kira. If you just killed the man on screen, Lind L. Taylor, then you just killed a man who was scheduled to be executed today. That wasn't me. And he's like, what? The criminal is someone who the police caught secretly. His capture wasn't broadcast on television or the internet. Meaning, it seems that even you couldn't get information on him. Yeah, so, because that's the thing, right? So, that was a way to flush him out. Because, yeah, you didn't have any information prior and it hadn't been televised. Oh my god. And then Ryuk's laughing. He's like, he got you. He's like, oh, you little shit. You're not perfect, huh? Infallible my ass. Like, I just love that Ryuk's like, he gotcha. Oh my god. He's like, but IL do exist. Oh, I love the cut to him on the mic. He's like, so come on, try and kill me. Oh, I love it. And they're all like, what's wrong? Do it quickly. What's going on? This is unreal. Come on, kill me. Like, he's just calling out. He's like, kill me now. Are you trying to die, L? It's Kira versus L. I love it's a live murder. I love that the people are like getting on board with this. Like, what the heck? It's like Sherlock and Moriarty, right? And they're like, come on, Kira, this is scary. And he says, try and kill me. What's the matter? You can't do it? So yeah, he's trying to figure out the conditions. Like, why can't you just do it? Is it because you don't know his name? Is it because you can't see him? That's like, he's just trying to weed out everything. He's like, if you have this power, like, just do it now. He's trying to flesh out all the conditions. It's genius, right? I love it. It seems that you can't kill me. And Ryuk's like, aha! Ryuk's like, oh, he's on to you. There are some people that you can't kill. You've given me a good clue. I'll tell you something good in return. So he's like, I'll offer you a good turn. You gave me a clue about you. So I'm going to play a little bit of my hand to tell you just what you're dealing with, right? He's like, I'll tell you something of how this is going to work. He says, I told you this is a live broadcast worldwide, but this is only being broadcast in the Kanto region of Japan. So, God, it's so genius. And Light's like, shit. And like, no, it's so good because he was like, I was going to broadcast at different places and different times until somebody died. Until he died. He was on death row anyway. He's like, I was just going to keep doing it in multiple locations to weed out and narrow where it was happening. Oh my God. I no longer need to. I know you're based in the Kanto region. And Ryuk's like, this L guy's pretty good. I was like, oh my God. The first victim was the perpetrator of random murders in Shinjuku. The police overlooked this case because it was so minor. Of all the criminals who died of heart attacks, this one's crime was the least serious, and it was the first one. So he's like, I know you're from this region because, yeah, it wasn't, the very first murder, the very first kill by Light wasn't some big name criminal. it was this rando from this little area of Shinjuku. So he's like, I know now where you're at because you listen to that local broadcast. Like, he's just narrowed it down. Furthermore, his crime was only broadcast in Japan. That's why he wanted to set up base there. I've been able to deduce this much. You are in Japan, and your first victim was your guinea pig. Oh my God. And Light's just like, shit. Oh my God. You're lucky that you're in Kanto, where it's the most heavily populated region in Japan. I never thought that things would go quite so well, but... oh my gosh, it won't be too long before I can sentence you to death. And I'm like, this L guy lives up to his reputation. And he's like, he proved that Kira exists and the killings took place and that Kira's in Japan. Oh my God. And he's like, I like this. He's like, because he's like a very Sherlock figure. He's interested in how Kira committed the murder. He's like, I wonder how you do it. How do you manage to make this work? But I'll find that out when I catch you. Oh my God. Until we meet again, Kira. Oh my God. And then Light's just like that look from Light. Oh. And the music kicks in. He's like, he's going to sentence me to death? You can't sentence a god to death. He's like, interesting. I accept your challenge. And Ryuk's like, wait, what are we doing? I love it. Ryuk's like, you know he can't hear you, right? They both have to hunt each other down. But neither of them know each other's name or what they look like. Oh, the setup, the premise. I love it. I love it all. Yes, please. And the first one who gets discovered dies. Oh, and we don't know if L has anything up his sleeve or if he's just a normal human that's just like Sherlock and he can deduce things. If he has a gun or what the case is. Humans sure are interesting. Yeah, Ryuk's just here for the ride. And he's like, L, and he's like, Kira. Yep, setting up our rivals. Yes, I will definitely find and finish you. Okay. Because I am justice. Oh my God. Oh my God. Cause yeah, so it seems like we have two sides of the coin, right? We got two sides of the coin. You have Light, who believes that bad people should die, and I'm gonna kill them and become the god of this utopic world. And then we have L. We don't know much about L yet, but we do know that L's sense of justice is that you just can't go around killing randos. Like, there's an order, and Light's like, I want to create the new order, and L's like, I want to maintain the order that we've got. So I feel like there's a reason for L's motivations, and we just obviously don't know them yet, but oh, I'm excited. His actual voice actor sounds familiar. It sounds familiar, but I don't know. I like his voice though, like his actual voice. But oh my God, y'all. If Light's dad's a police officer, oh, that's going to get interesting. That is going to get very interesting if he's going to question whether or not if he knew about L. Maybe he doesn't know his dad's with Interpol. I don't know. God, this series is getting good, and we're only 2 episodes in. I'm here for it, though. I'm here for it. So, yeah. Oh, my God. But, yeah. Okay. Easy enough, right? Easy enough. So, I'm definitely excited about this episode. I'm very curious to know your thoughts down below. Please, no spoilers. Please don't debunk or confirm theories yet. But already, I'm pretty darn excited. I'm like Ryuk. Just give me some apples. Let's do this. And so, yeah. But I hope you all enjoyed this reaction discussion. I'm elated. So, in the meantime, I hope you also all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and yeah, I'm going to be back next week with episode 3 of Death Note. Bye.